Exciting. Okay. What a gift. What a gift and a pleasure it is to be with you all. And I want to tell you about a little element of magic. Okay, so number one, my shirt. I think this is what Santa sees when he drops off all the presents to all the bad children, because I'm convinced that the bad children get the best presents, but that's a story for another time. We'll talk about your judgment of you in a moment, perhaps in a future episode. I don't know. Yes, this is a one-off. So there you go. Also, I have been flat in bed, sick for the past 3 days. And hello. And every time I go to talk, I would cough. And I asked for some contribution from some amazing miracle workers around the world. They're called SAP, Symphony Advanced Practitioners. And here I am. I'm ready. I'm on. I'm like, woo, feel like I got a little fire under my booty. So welcome to the ineffable effing magic of you. And I say effing because I am turning over a new leaf. No more 4-letter words from me. Okay, that 10 seconds is over. Whew, that was a tough 10 seconds, I got to tell you. But I would like to very much welcome you. And there is so much going on during this holiday season. Aren't the holidays wonderful? And it's funny because we look forward to it each year. The joy of everything we're going to have to deal with. We're going to have to buy stuff to prove to people that we care about them and won't receive that we care about them, who are judging us for not giving them enough, not being enough all year. And then it's like, oh, let's get together and be loving. Okay, everything that brought up. By the way, I'm going to be using something called the clearing statement. If a friend that either loves you or hates you invited you to this, and you don't understand what I'm saying, and it sounds like a bunch of gobbledygook, that's okay, because you can go to theclearingstatement.com, but basically it's a way of changing anything you want to change. I use it pretty much every day in my life, and actually used it to help get me out of this sickness thing a lot faster also. So everything that brought up for all of you, will you destroy it and uncreate it, please? Times a gazillion, right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, pod, poc, shorts, boys, povads, and beyonds. So that was the clearing statement. If you didn't catch that, if you're like, what? That's what that was. So what I'd like to talk to you about, so many things. My brain, have you ever had where you've been sick, like literally sick in bed? You know, it's one thing to walk around with a little sniffle or a little cold or whatever, but when you're laid out flat for a few days, you ever notice how it does weird things with your head? You kind of wake up, you're like, who's in my head? Who put liquid concrete in my brain? What is going on? So I'm dealing with just a little bit of that right now. Also in the midst of major changes. So please forgive me, bear with me for anything I say or don't say, because I'm not sure I can claim responsibility for any of it right now. But what I'd like to talk to you about is, number one, there's a lot of change going on in the world in a lot of ways. There has been for quite a while. And so that is always an interesting thing to deal with, especially when you're at a time of year where it's required that everybody sort of try to get together and be on the same wavelength. Now, the rest of the year, you might be okay doing your own thing, diving with the dolphins in the Bahamas or something. And, you know, and then you have to go to Utah to see your family. And you're like, by the way, we have a saying in the United States, eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow you may be in Utah. So just if that gives you any indication of what I'm talking about, okay? And so there's this tendency to start long before whatever your holiday events are, to start preparing yourself mentally and energetically to gravitate toward the vibrations of others. Notice, even as I'm saying it, it feels so light. Now I know what I was sick of. So everything you've done to start dimming down your lights so you're not too bright and don't blind people, everything you've been doing to try to figure out and understand what you're going to have to deal with by vibrating like it before you get there to deal with it, and everything you've been doing to make your vibration more like that of others, not just family, but worldwide. Oh, you're such a sweetie. Will you please rescind, revoke, recant, reclaim, renounce, denounce, destroy, and uncreate it, please? Times a gazillion, right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, pod, poc, shorts, boys, povats, and beyonds. Because the other thing that I really wanted to bring to your awareness and bring to you as an invitation is, in addition to acknowledging all the change that's occurring, acknowledging you trying to become not so bright that you blind people, is the gift of you actually being you. Oh my goodness. I should write a book. Oh wait, I already have. Oh my God, back in 2011. It's called Being You, Changing the World. It wasn't called Being the Lowest Common Denominator from Everybody You've Ever Met, Changing the World. It was called Being You, Changing the World. I think there was a reason for that. See, when you shine your light brightly, you give others who are hiding in their own feigned darkness, their own invented darkness, the freedom to shine theirs. Now, simultaneously, you may anger people who are desiring to dim the light of others. But what if that's an acknowledgement that you're heading in exactly the right direction? And I'm not saying you be antagonistic. In fact, the funny part is most of us have had such an experience in our lives of every time we were truly being us, somebody came down on us and tried to limit it, tried to diminish it. Okay, fine. And by the way, those people obviously didn't succeed because you're here. Okay, you're here still going, how can I shine my light without hurting people? Well, how about if you shine your light and realize that you can't actually hurt anyone else? We've been accused of hurting people our entire lives, which is something we would not want to do because we're actually caring people. So everything you've done to diminish you as though that is caring for others, and as though you can deal with it, and you know you can deal with it because you know you can deal with it, you know you have that strength. But everywhere you've misidentified and misapplied that diminishing you is caring for others, will you please destroy and uncreate all that? Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and poc, all nine, shorts, boys, povats, and beyonds. How many of you have ever been inspired by somebody you saw that was just being them? Even in the midst of, you'll see them, maybe you'll hear them on a podcast, maybe you'll see them on a video or something, or meet them in person, even better, where they're just them. They're like, hi, I'm me. How are you? Nice to meet you. And they say what is true for them. And they don't need anybody else to get it. And they don't need to prove that they're anything. And how much are you inspired by that? How much does it bring a lightness in your world to allow you to recognize that, wow, this person is just being them and saying what is? So everything that doesn't allow you the freedom and the ease and the joy that comes from you being you, but also finding out what's actually true for you, beyond all the stuff you bought, beyond what you've been pretending, and beyond what you've been diminishing in you and as you to make others comfortable. Will you destroy and uncreate it, please? Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and poc, all nine, shorts, boys, povats, and beyonds. I hope you're lightening up a little bit as we go. We are going to go into different pastures also. Because even see, here's the thing. I'm going to say this, and some of you are going to think I'm full of shit, and that's okay, because the thing I hear most commonly is, I thought you were full of shit when you said this, but I found out you're not. And so I started a thing where if you think I'm full of shit and you find out I'm not, you have to pay me $5. Some people have actually paid up, just so you know, at least 2 of them. So here's the thing I wanted to say that you're going to say I'm full of shit is, when you're truly being you, you are rather miraculous. Okay. And that word can get thrown around a lot, especially when people are into exploring possibilities. You're a miraculous, you're a miracle, but it's actually true. but sometimes we lose the relevance of that awareness in our lives. And so what is miraculous? Well, when things show up with you, things show up for you or with you, who knows, with you, for you, with a sense of ease. When you get to ask for things and they show up and you don't even know how it happened. If you're the kind of person who has people tell you, God, you know, it's so nice being around you. I don't know what it is, but I feel better all the time when I'm around you. That sort of thing is what I'm talking about. And so let's do this. So everything that, got a couple ways I can go about this. And by the way, why are my hands up? Because I'm on something. And I do this when I do my job. Okay. And my hands move when the energy moves. So there's a lot of hand movement going on over here. And I tried to stop it at one point. It did not work very well. I literally, when my hand started moving a few months into Access, because Gary Douglas, the founder of Access, his hand does something in its own way. And I saw that and I was like, oh my God, I'm so glad that weird shit doesn't happen to me. And I was working with somebody and my hand started moving and I literally sat on it and I was like, okay. And I just had one hand and then that hand started moving. I'm like, oh my God, no. So what is the weird, wild, miraculous capacity, ability, and strangeness that you have that you are trying to hide as though it is a curse rather than a blessing, a miracle, and a gift? Everything that is times a godzillion. That one makes me want to cry. Will you destroy and uncreate all that, please? Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine shorts, boys, poveds, and beyonds. So I need to read that one more time because that's got a little bit of energy on it. So I'm going to run it one more time. Hold on. So what's the weird, wild, miraculous capacity, ability, and strangeness that you have and are that you are trying to hide as though it is a curse rather than the blessing, miracle, and gift it actually is? Everything that is times a godzillion, we destroy and uncreate it, please. Right, wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine shorts, boys, poveds, and beyond. What's the weird, wild, miraculous capacity, ability, and strangeness that you have and are that you're trying to hide as though it is a curse rather than the blessing, miracle, and gift it and you actually are? Everything that is times a godzillion, we destroy and uncreate it, please. Right, wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine shorts, boys, poveds, and beyonds. I don't know why I'm saying it like that other than the fact that I live in Texas and I can talk like this if I want to. So there. I said it. Welcome to Dr. Dain's Southern Christmas. Was it day 4? Day 4 of 14 ineffable days of F and magic. That's what I'm talking about. And woo! I was going to say something. Ooh, boy. I thought I had ADHD before. I thought I had the thing, like, I used to think I had goldfish brain, you know, where like goldfish only have, I don't know, like an 8-second, you know, memory span or something. And kind of like Dory in Finding Nemo, you know, like that. And I realized now it's more like a minnow brain. And I'm like, so anyway, I had something very wonderful to share with you that is no longer there. Let me run the process one more time, because part of what I'm looking to do with this is, you know, there are so many things you can go to and just listen to, especially at this time of year, that hopefully will be inspirational and contributional and all these sorts of things. But one of the beautiful things about having access to Access Consciousness tools and the clearing statement is to actually be able to change things so that you go to your holiday more you. That's the whole point. See, we can't take away anything that's actually you, nor would we want to. The only thing we change with the clearing statement is the things that you have piled on top of you that are not you, or the things that you bought that you are that you're not. And there's one thing you want to have in your repertoire is what's true for you makes you lighter. A lie for you always makes you heavier, okay? What's true for you always makes you lighter. Lighter might be kind of like the way you get when you go out in nature, or when you give a friend a really beautiful hug, or when you have a sense of space after like a great massage and a bath and you're like, whoa, the world's awesome. Okay, that's lighter. Heavier might be where you know when your guts get twisted, like you look at something online or watch TV and there's something yucky and you're like, ah, okay. Or many other ways of describing it. But what's true for you always makes you lighter. A lie for you always makes you heavier. And if you extrapolate that, then you realize that the more things you choose that are actually true for you, whatever they are, even if they're different, perhaps way different than other people's points of view about what you should be choosing or what is right, good, or appropriate, the more things you choose that are actually true for you, the lighter your life becomes. If you have any desire, now here's the weird part though. I was going to say, if you have any desire to truly have lightness in your life, one of the biggest ways of getting there is by starting to slowly and easily start to notice the things that you could choose or the choices you have in any situation, because you have choice. You don't have to respond the way you thought you had to. There's always more than one choice in any situation, interestingly. But maybe explore the choices and see which one is lightest. Okay, I'm walking up to the doorway to my parents' house for our holiday judgment fest. Oh, I mean, Christmas dinner. Sorry, I get those confused. Like, I don't know, similar energy. Yeah, sorry. And some of you are like, it's not that way at my family. My family loves me. And I'm like, that is so awesome. I am so happy for you. That is so wonderful. My family loves me too. And they judge the shit out of me and everyone else all the time. That's just what they do. And I was very fortunate to have a very loving family, at least one side of my family, very loving. And still, they're judging everyone and everything, including themselves, all the time. Now, for some of you who've heard this conversation about judgment and have had difficulty maybe putting it into your world, because, see, in Access, we don't want to make anybody wrong, including your family, including you, including anybody, okay? Because Access consciousness is about accessing, wait for it, wait, hold on. I know it's gonna be so good once we finally get there. Accessing consciousness. Woo! Whoa, hello, universe. Whoa, I just said it. I said it. Hello, I said it. Bring it on, baby. I can say that because I'm wearing a universe shirt. You're welcome. Thank you very much. Anyway, and consciousness, we have a definition of consciousness, which is where everything exists and nothing is judged. Or maybe we have a description of consciousness. Anyway, where everything exists and nothing is judged. And wrongness, of course, is a judgment. Well, the funny part is, so is rightness, but we only try to do rightness to overcome wrongness. But that's a story that is beyond the scope of today's conversation. But so when I said that, see, because I've been looking at this for years also, because I came to Access 22 years ago. And I heard Gary, the founder, talking about how judgmental so many people were. And, you know, and he brought up family and family events. And it's like there was this weird thing with my family, because, like I said, I had a very loving family. My one side of the family was very loving. And one side was the other side. Anyway, and so I had these fond memories of going to my loving side of the family, you know, and we would, you know, cuddle and I love you and all whatever. And yet I always had that. And I always had also this sort of weird, like, afterwards, where it was like, I thought it was awesome. And yet I'd go away and I'd still have weird twisty bits in my bits. Not those bits, all my bits, like around a bit, like, like the universe of bits. Yeah. Anyway, pock and pod me. And so it took me a long time to realize that these beautiful, phenomenal people that I love so much and that love me so much were in such a constant state of judgment of themselves and everything that our whole family learned to do, because that's what families learn to do. And also that if you would bring in an outside point of view, the whole family's together. So what do? They attack, because that is not us. Like on my highly loving side of the family, this is very funny, is they were very conservative. They're very Republican. And I guess my other side of the family is very conservative and Republican too. That's funny. Anyway, so I, would like, I wanted to explore all sides. And so sometimes I would say something that sounded liberal. Talk about a way to feel like you're hated by your family. That's why you shouldn't talk politics at Christmas, kids. And if your family's talking politics and they're not yours, that's why alcohol was invented. You're welcome. I say this as long as you're not an alcoholic. Okay, thanks. But so it was very interesting because, oh, by the way, now I'm neither liberal nor conservative. I hate them all. Okay, there. By the way, everything that doesn't allow you to have the freedom to not take a side, everything that doesn't allow you the freedom to say, I'm not liberal, I'm not conservative, I hate them all, or not relevant, or I'm choosing something different. Will you destroy and ungrade it all, please? Right, wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, poveds, and beyonds. And I gotta say, I relate to this also. My family loves and judges me because they have no clue how to deal with me. And they live in a world of suffering and pain, what they think is reality, and they have no clue that something wonderful and light and joyous is even a possibility. That right there. Oh boy, my English, sorry, my brain, fudge brain, woo! Dain's fudge brain. Hello, nice to see you. My name is Dain, and I have a fudge brain. So I can imagine that probably a lot of you can relate to families who have something like that. I know mine was exactly that. They so believe in a reality of suffering that you trying to go, hey, something like a great question. How does it get any better than this, Mom? Devil, vampire, and you're like, but I was just trying to make it light. It doesn't get lighter for us. And that was, my one side of the family that was, both sides of the family had that in common. And their whole point of view was it doesn't get better for us. But if they wanted something, they'd say, I'll get it one day when my ship comes in. And I'm like, you're living in motherfucking Idaho. Okay. There isn't a port anywhere. You got to go thousands of miles in some direction to try to find anywhere where there could be a thing that your ship could come in on. So maybe move there and wait for it. You know what I mean? But it was never about creating their lives. It was about the suffering that must be endured to be a good person, to, I think, eventually get to heaven or something like that. So all those of you who have dealt with that, who have families who their reality is that things are suffering and things are pain, and here you are desiring something different, knowing there's something different possible, but then that thing of knowing that every time you present it, it's rejected. And here's the interesting part is what we think is we're being rejected. Now, for a lot of us, our families did reject us. And there's so many stories. I'm just trying to address something from a slightly different place than I've ever been able to get to with a group of people, at least before. And that is everything you've done to not recognize what your family and those you care about and those you know have solidified as a reality that they're not currently willing to change. And everything you've done to somehow invalidate you because you want to bring possibilities. You want to bring lightness. You want them to know that possibilities are available, partially because you want to have people that are on a similar page where you're like, let's play together. And yet you go to present it and you make you wrong if they won't receive it. Everything that is times a godzillion, will you destroy and uncreate it, please? Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine shorts, boys, povets, and beyonds. I used to think they were rejecting me, but it isn't that. Well, it is sort of that. They're rejecting themselves and ease and anything beyond what they have right now. That is true. And now look at this for a moment. How many of you, when you were a little kid, well, okay, let me back up. Sorry. Dain's brain, Dain's fudge ADHD brain. By the way, if you want to watch something very funny, you have to have a sense of humor for this, though. And if you don't have one, it may give you one. I'm not sure. But recently I started channeling because I wanted to express more of my spiritual side. And so I started channeling the Archangel Pupil. And Archangel Pupil, if you don't know, you know how like Saint Germain has like purple light and there's a sword of Archangel Michael. Archangel Pupil has a very special, very specific brown light that is designed to get things moving and flowing and going. Okay. And just be warned, you think I'm kidding, and I thought I was kidding too, until I found out what happened when I first presented all of this information in a class, and about half of my people could not film because they were doing a number 2 in the bathroom as soon as I started. All right, I'm just saying, if you got constipation issues, Archangel Pupil is your guy, okay? And with his golden plunger pointed to the sky. Sorry. Anyway, so there is that you can watch for your entertainment value. But one of the other things I wanted to bring up is if we can look from, see what happens is we go into trying to reject others when we feel like we're being rejected. And what I'd like to do is, because that's not us, that's us making ourselves less than we actually are and would like to be, to try to deal with what seems like an impossible situation with people that we truly care for, even if we've experienced abuse and gaslighting and meanness and all that, we still care, kids. And the world tells you that's a weakness. I disagree. I think it's one of your greatest strengths. I think it's one of the things that is indomitable about you. And if you keep being it, will, with awareness too, will make you truly unstoppable in creating whatever you truly desire. Okay. Thank you for that Facebook comment. She said, I'm here, Dain. You're speaking my life experience. Cool. And so there's this way, and we've also got to look at, it's our choice how we choose to be with us. And we have the ability to, rather than judge them and reject them for what they refuse to receive of us, and for what we activate in them just by breathing, just by being alive, we have the choice to, rather than having any of this have anything to do with we need to reject them to have us, we need to stop rejecting us to have us. Because here's the thing, we're all really friggin' psychic, okay? And what do I mean by psychic? And I love how some people out there, like so many people out there in the world are like, well, psychics don't exist. I'm like, yeah, we do. All of us are. What is psychic? Energetically aware. So here's what I'm looking at. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of irons in the fire right now, I do realize. And usually there always are when I'm talking. So there you go. Cool. So glad you're feeling lighter. Yay. So if you could get a sense right now of maybe another family, get a sense of another family that's very similar to your family, but not your family, and get a sense of them having a baby. And this family has very similar to your family, like their own reality and what they've decided is right and wrong and good and bad. And they're not really in it for the possibilities, Bob. They're in it to get the right image, marry the right image, have the kid so they can fulfill the image, because if they just walk all those steps and everything will turn out fine, because that's what they were taught, right? And so now somehow some little fireball, unicorn, dragon, miraculous creature that still doesn't want to know it today, but that's a story for another time. Anyway, makes a left turn and ends up in that womb, you know, the little baby making factory. Oh my goodness. So anyway, that little creature is there going, what? And it starts perceiving from the moment it is conceived, and it's perceiving, and it's like, oh, weird people, weird life. Okay, fine. And this baby is born, and this baby has not yet learned that it should be normal or like other people or like the family. And so energetically, it's kind of exciting and terrifying to the two people who just want to be somewhat normal, and maybe the brothers and sisters that want to be somewhat normal. And so it's kind of like this little baby's like this glowing ball of light energetically, right? And these people are trying to pretend they live in the dark. So every time the light gets too much, like, oh, geez, man, close the curtains. The kid is lighting up again. Shit, the neighbors are going to know we're not normal, right? And so what do? They start. Now, once again, this is not your family, of course. This is a family that is very similar to yours, with a being very similar to you coming into that family. You get what I'm talking about. Okay. It's not about you. Ooh, that's Archangel. If you want to call an Archangel Poople, that is one of the ways to do that. You're welcome. Okay, I know. I said it. You heard it here first. The rest of the world doesn't know that yet. This is a secret, okay? Anyway, back to our conversation. So here you are, you be this light, and what happens is they're like, shut the curtains, hide the child. Oh my God. And what do? Because of what they've already rejected in themselves, because of what they've already decided is reality. And you have to recognize that when somebody decides something is reality, when they judge it, when they conclude, when they compile, nothing that doesn't match that can come into their awareness. They won't allow it. Okay. And so what's normal? A collection of judgments that none of us will ever understand. Okay. That's what normal is. So now what happens is anything you are that doesn't match their reality, unless they're a unique couple of people or family of people who are like, wow, let's let this child teach us something. And my question is there any such thing as a child, or just an infinite being with a smaller body? Okay. Because you don't all of a sudden become a full being when you're 18, or when you can vote, or when you can drink or shag, or whatever it is that's your legal standard. You're an infinite being with a small body, but most people look at a child as a child. I don't. I see them as a being, and I'm like, whoa, you're amazing. But most of our parents didn't do that. So what they do is, rather than receive the gift of what this ball of light that can't be controlled is doing, they start rejecting it. Anything that doesn't match their reality. And so that occurs over time so many times that often the being that is this ball of light is like, oh, my light is hurting people. My light is not valuable. My light is not, oh, it's not bringing light. I guess I'll stop being the light. Maybe I'll be more like the other people, and maybe I'll be more dull, and okay, I could do it. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. But always somewhere back in the back of your mind, your awareness is that light and the joy of being that lightness, and the joy of being that unfettered, that unbound, that miraculous beauty and spaciousness. And it's that I think that we keep wanting to invite people to, especially those that we are quote unquote closest to by virtue of family, time spent, our level of caring for them. And so when we try and we think, because the way we know it should work is we should be able to shine our light really bright. And if people go, oh my God, thank you. I've been waiting for you. I've been waiting for permission to be this. But instead, see, when they shone their light really bright, way back when, a generation ago, When they were a little kid, they were rejected, they were shut down. And what happens is when something is done, excuse me, when something is done against a being and they take it on as a reality, they now do the same thing to others in exactly the same way. So if you're made wrong for being too loud, you become the police against those who are too loud. If you're made wrong for being too happy, you become the police against those who are too happy. If you're energetically made wrong from all kinds of directions without even knowing what's going on for being too light and too bright, well, you, number one, turn it down so you're not offensive to people. And then number two, you become the energetic police doing the exact same thing. And that is the world we have had for thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon millions upon billions upon forever of years. Okay. But guess what? In the last 20 years or so, that's been changing. It's been changing to where you guys are like, I know I was invalidated for being light, but I just can't stop myself. Because it's here, and that is your knowing. That is your awareness of what you are capable of. And that is why I say that allowing yourself access to that, not having to resist and react to anybody else, but allowing yourself the access to that from the space of you having it, but also the awareness and the potency that it gives you. And what do I mean? See, if you know you're this big, or if you know at least you could be, a lot of us know we're way bigger than we're choosing to be, me included, okay? And when I say bigger, I'm not talking like fat bastard, not like, get in my belly, get, not that, I don't mean body bigger, okay? I mean like the awareness of being bigger, you know what I'm saying? I think you know what I'm saying, okay? But we have the awareness that we're actually so big, then when someone that we know or don't know, when someone, period, on any level, especially somebody we really care about, and I know even if they were abusive and mean, you still care about them, family members, whoever they are, right? If we know we're this big, them trying to diminish us from their tiny little contracted world that they've created as theirs, it's not personal, and it doesn't have to hurt us, and it doesn't have to diminish our light. And we could, if the person, see, oh, goodness, this could be like a 12-hour Zoom just on this one topic. This is funny. I'm funny, especially after being sick for 3 days. Okay. Hello, fudge brain. With apparently I'm not fudge brain anymore. I'm now a billion pieces of exploded fudge brain. Archangel Poople, bring your golden plunger, help. Okay, sorry. Just trying to get a modicum of order here, kids. This is all natural, by the way, just saying. Whatever the fuck that is. You can see from here that number one, they can't truly diminish you unless you do. That number two, so many of the things that we've done to diminish ourselves are because others required it. And here's my question though. How much of those diminishments of you that you did because others required it, how much of those were pretend? How much of you pretended to diminish you because others required it? How much did you pretend to diminish you because others desired it and needed to know that they somehow were greater than you? Moment. Then that happened. And how much have you bought your own created reality that was only created and invented to make them feel better about theirs? Everything that is, and all the lies you've still been buying, and all the truths with lies attached. Because the truth with the lie attached is where one part is true and another part is a lie, spoken or unspoken. Everything that is times a godzillion, and all the lies you've been functioning from, which is what really sticks you. Will you destroy and uncreate all that, please? Times a godzillion, right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, pod, poc, shorts, boys, povets, and beyonds. Wow, how many lies have you been telling you about the diminishment of you that you say you can't overcome, that you only say you can't overcome it to validate the people who believe they can't overcome theirs? Now, my question is, how many of you actually understood a word I just said? Everything that is times a godzillion. Will you destroy it, uncreate it, please? Right, wrong, good and bad, pod and poc, all nine, shorts, boys, povets, and beyonds. Okay, so, oh goodness. I was hoping to have set you all free by now, but that ain't happening. So we're going to go on for a couple more minutes here. What a surprise. I never talked this long. This is the first time ever. Maybe I don't lie very well because I always laugh when I lie. Maybe I should get over that. Maybe I'd be able to lie better. Anyway, I digress. So here's what I'd like to try to bring this home in a slightly concise way if possible. Yeah, good luck. So what if you showed up and you had no judgment of them at all, but also no judgment of you at all? And as each situation occurred and each person did their thing, that is basically what family's mostly about, is just pushing each other's buttons continuously. And as they did, what if you just could lower your walls and barriers and become so big that it was almost humorous to you, where you were like, wow, like your target for this holiday season is to laugh on the inside. Okay. Now, if you start laughing on the outside, that's your business. Just see if it'll create more or not. Okay. Because people don't like being laughed at when they're trying to make you, although it is very effective to let them know it doesn't work. It's just some people will try to make you wrong more, or they will use your laughter as evidence that you are indeed wrong, which, hey, you know what? Go for it. See, if you're at the place where, and this is where, and I hope I presented it enough because I want to go into it more, but I also don't because it is what it is. But this is where, if you have a sense of you, whatever the heck that is, and if you have a sense of even a portion of the space of you, and get a sense of when you've had that, like maybe it's right now, maybe you're like, wow, dude, this is more me. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping to instill and invite and energetically engender here. Because if you have a sense of you in a space like this, and somebody's like, you're a jerk, and they're just doing their tiny little yappy thing that they do, who cares? Like I've had times where I've had somebody say, you know what, you're this and this and this. And I go, you know what? I am so sorry. You're right. I'm such a terrible person. I really apologize for being such a terrible person. And they go, no, I wasn't saying that you're terrible. I was just saying that, you do this wrong. And I'm like, I know, I do this wrong all the time. I am so sorry. I am such a terrible person. I am such a jerk. No, I didn't say you just do this wrong. I'm like, I know. And I am so sorry. And I will try to do better in the future. I'm sorry for being such a terrible person. I'm sorry for being such a jerk. I'm sorry for being such an asshole. And it's amazing how when you acknowledge, see, because what many people are looking for is an acknowledgement of the validation of their point of view or their judgment. And if you give them that, they're usually not only done, but if you do it in an effusive enough way that acknowledges the energy and then goes a little further to how terrible you are, then oftentimes they're like, no, you're not. And then in that brief moment, they actually have to look at you. Because what most people are doing is they're hiding behind their tiny little defense that's like a 2x4, and they're trying to hide their whole body behind it and try to like shoot at anybody before they get in. And this is the people we're dealing with, and this is the people we've made more powerful than us. No, beautiful, you, they're not more powerful than you. Yeah, you know, you could understand where it might seem like they were more powerful when you were like 0 through however old, where you needed these people to feed you and take care of you, and they were supposed to show you the ropes of reality, which they probably didn't do very well, except to judge and make yourself pathetic or make yourself right or make yourself wrong. Okay, fine. But guess what? I'm going to tell you this, and I hope this rings. I hope this resonates. You're grown up now. You are grown up. You as a being grow up more every day, especially if you use access consciousness tools. And by the way, if this is your first exposure to access consciousness, I hope it's at least been entertaining for you. And if you love it or hate it, there's probably something there for you. But if you keep using these tools, just look at this for a moment. If you keep using access consciousness tools, what will your life be like a year from now? Just get the sense of it. Lighter, heavier, more space, less space. Okay. That's just a really quick acknowledgement. And it's not for me about you doing access or using access. It's about you using something that works so that your future continuously gets greater. But so if we look at this for a moment, I just want to acknowledge you're grown up and your being grows more every day. You get access to your being more every single day. And even if you go to your family event and it feels like a total shitstorm disaster and more trauma and drama occurs than has ever occurred before, you know what? Over the next few hours, days, weeks, or months, you will not only get out of it, but you will be stronger than you were before. You'll be more potent than you were before. You'll have more space than you did before, because every one of those things that sticks you is a fixed point of view that you have that you don't even know you have cognitively, because unfortunately, we can't get to all of our fixed points of view cognitively, which is why they stick us, because if they were cognitive, we would know they were there and we'd go, oh, I see you. Now I'm going to work on you. Now I'm going to change you. Now you're no longer a fixed point of view. Now you're part of the space of the rest of my being. But the fixed points of view hang out over here like the little gang of thugs that want to shoot you in the back and stab you in the face whenever they can, but they're hiding so you don't see them. So it takes your family to be like, and then the little thug's like, ha, ambush, yeah, we got people in front, let's go stab them in the back. And they're like, oh. You know, and then use some tools. Like, whoa, what was that? What is this? What do I do with it? Can I change it? How do I change it? We have a bunch of tools in access consciousness, thousands of videos, classes, books. I mean, just stuff, right? And so what happens is once the little thugs expose themselves, then you can deal with them and you never have to be the effect of them again. So I know for me, the target, if I had one for you, would be to have just way too much fun during this holiday. Actually being you, whatever the heck that is, you friggin' weirdo that I just adore you for being so weird. The original meaning of weird, by the way, was of spirit, fate, or destiny. So when people say you're weird, go, thanks for the acknowledgement. It wasn't an acknowledgement, it was a judgment. And you're like, I know. Thank you anyway. They're just acknowledging you. Okay. So, but if that is not how it seems to present itself to you, don't worry about it. Use the tools. What else is possible? How does it get any better than this? Pock and pod. What's right about this I'm not getting? What's right about me I'm not getting? And we have a ton of processes and all kinds of stuff, ways of changing things in the trenches. And, you know, go to a facilitator, look up the videos. There's so much stuff. Plus we have like 10 more days of ineffable effing magic. Hello. So much stuff. And I just want you to know that I would like for you all the lightness, and any of the heavy bits will be changeable and you will be greater as a result of it. Always. Okay. So Let's now I've got only a few more minutes because I got to be on another Zoom in 9 minutes. So you only have me I can only harass you for 9 more minutes. Unless I break the rules. I'm sorry. So let's do this for a moment. Okay. There's a couple tools that are very helpful during this time. One is interesting point of view. I have this point of view. And all you got to do while somebody's talking or when a weird energy comes up, you go, interesting point of view. I have this point of view. You can do it for any upset you have in your world right now. You can try it. Interesting point of view. I have this point of view. And it usually changes. And then you go, interesting point of view. I have this point of view. And it changes again. Interesting point of view. I have this point of view. And it changes again. Interesting point of view. I have this point of view. And usually after a few times, the point of view is gone, because when it's interesting, you no longer have the positive and negative charge. And then if somebody else is saying something, you can go, interesting point of view. They have this point of view. After you do interesting point of view, I have this point of view. You go, interesting point of view. They have this point of view. Interesting point of view. They have this point of view. Interesting point of view. They have this point of view. And then interesting point of view. I have this point of view that they have this point of view. And that's usually the one that sets you free with other people. And yes, the Being You Changing the World on audio is a really good audiobook. I listened to it myself, especially in times where I'm around people and it's really uncomfortable and it seems to bring some space to the situation. Just another tool. Okay, so interesting point of view. I have this point of view that they have this point of view is another great freedom. There's another one called who does this belong to? Because whether you know it or not, you're picking up on every thought, feeling, emotion, and point of view of everybody at that party and probably everybody beyond it. Who does this belong to is one of the greatest things you can do. If you do it for 3 days, you'll walk around like you're in a walking, talking meditation. I went to my ex-fiance's family for Christmas, the very last Christmas I had with her and them, thank goodness. I had just gotten this tool, who does this belong to, and decided to actually do it for 3 days. While I was there and I was there for probably about 2.5 hours. I went in from the moment I walked up, actually the moment we were driving there, every thought that went through my head, I was like, who's this belong to? Who's this belong to? Who's this belong to? Who does this belong to? Who's this? I was literally in my head while talking to people, which didn't matter anyway, because they were never interested in what I had to say, but while listening to people talk at me, in my head, I was like, who does this belong to? Who's 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 this belong to? And every time it would lighten up, I was like, wow, not mine, not mine, not mine, not mine. I did it probably 10,000 times that night. It was my mantra going through my head. It's the first time I ever left their house lighter than when I had come. Excuse me. Who does that belong to? Okay, so I wanted to give you those tools. Now, I'd like to do something else that I recently did with a group, a yearly, I don't know if it's yearly or monthly. I don't know how we do it anymore. But anyway, one of them groups that I got that's either yearly or monthly, I think it was 15 billion. Here's what I'd like to do. Would you be willing to have all of us contribute to all of us? So here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to get the sense of you, the being, the awesome, ineffable, effing, magical you. It is so far beyond this reality that it doesn't need to be bothered by stupid people, stupid shit, and doesn't judge them, doesn't judge itself, but is just there and has kind of a glimmer in its eye, you know, this sort of sense of joy of being alive. If you can remember when that was, you know, available, whatever. Just kidding. Now, get the sense of all of us that are currently watching and will be watching this over the next several weeks. Get the sense of all of us showing up together to all of our gatherings. Okay? And get the sense of, as you go to walk up to the door of whatever gathering, we're just going to use this, whatever gathering you're dreading the most right now. That gathering, okay, get the sense of having all of us be there with you and have your back. And as soon as the door is opened, like let's say the normal thing is you get judgment through the eyes instantaneously. As soon as the door is open, there's so much energy of all of us just having your back, just being there with you. Just like, you know what? We like her. We like him. This is a really cool person. And we're just here to be with them. And we're also here to create so much space that none of your non-space can even exist, no matter how hard you try. And so the door opens, and whether you usually get the judgment through the eyes, now you actually get, they go to try, but the judgment doesn't even work. And then you go to walk in and you have a few thousand of your closest friends with you. And somehow there's space for all of them. But in comparison to the 25 or 30 or 50 people that usually you're uncomfortable to be around, you now have a few thousand that you absolutely love being around and that have your back. And all of us are continuously contributing to each other just by our being. Okay. We are all gifting to each other. We are all acknowledging that, you know what? You're awesome as a being. And none of us is perfect. And that's what makes us so perfectly fucking awesome. Okay. None of us is perfect, but God, we're fucking cool. And you know what? It's okay to think we're fucking cool. I said to Grayson, Gary's grandson, yesterday, he was 6 now, I think. And I said, dude, you are awesome. He's like, I know. I'm like, that is the way we should have been raised. What? Dude. Oh, my family would have killed me if I said that. Arrogant. So let's be a little on the arrogant side, but from the space of our being and the kindness. And just notice as the evening goes on, you just get lighter and lighter and lighter, because no matter what energy comes up in anybody's world that's about judging you or judging themselves, or doing that pushing the button thing and fighting against, it just melts in the presence of all of us being this space. And what energy, space, consciousness, choice, magic, miracles, mysteries, possibilities, power, and potency can we now be to have total ease, joy, and glory for this holiday season and ever after for all eternity. Everything that doesn't allow it, times a gazillion, right, wrong, good, bad, all 9, pod, poc, shorts, boys, poveds, and beyonds. Okay, beautiful people. So many more wonderfulnesses. I hope your world is lighter than when you started. And if it is, thank you. And if you haven't joined the 14 days of Ineffable Effing Magic, please do, because it's my gift to you. And there is nothing that makes me happier than seeing you have more of you. And it lets me know it was a really great choice when I chose to stay alive 22 years ago after Access Consciousness bars and using these tools. And man, everything is friggin' possible. So also, if you're on any of the social platforms, please like, please subscribe, and please share, because that way people can find us, because I don't monetize my videos. So let's see, Google would like to promote a monetized video where they make money, or a non-monetized video where we just change the world and undo their algorithms. Let me think about that for a moment. So anyway, we can bust that shit with enough contribution, sharing, etc. I thank you all. May you have the happiest holiday season so far. Thanks for being with me today. And I look forward to being with you again very soon. Mwah! Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Holidays, Happy Atheistic Holiday, whatever, Happy Earth Day, Happy...